Hello everyone, my name is Train Company and here is the canal of Otaru, the landmark of the city. As you know, Otaru is the most easy and popular travel destination near Sapporo, but it is basically a modern city, historical modern city. It means you need to know something before you come here. What is this city, its background, features, district, things to do. In this video, I will tell you almost things about Otaru. Yes, it's time to discover this romantic city. Let's go.
Otaru is a small city in central Hokkaido near Sapporo. The distance from Sapporo is only 35 kilometers, more close than between Liverpool and Manchester. The population is about 120,000. It is only a 0.8% of Tokyo. Otaru is a port city, but not very active. There are only few ferries that go to Niigata and the Hokuriku region. It wasn't always like this. The fishing industry was very active 100 years ago, and it functioned as a seaward entrance to Sapporo. Hokkaido's first railroad, the Temiya Line, was built in Otaru too. Otaru grew into such a wonderful modern city. You can still see trace of it in Otaru today. Fancy buildings of financial institutions, the warehouses of the transportation companies, and the various shops. But it's the city's ambiguous location that has always held it back. In its early years, Otaru developed by inertia, but once Japan's economy was reset by the loss of Pacific War, leaders took a second look at Hokkaido. Sapporo's location was still fine, but Otaru was something of an afterthought. Most of Japan's big cities are on the east side of archipelago, facing the Pacific Ocean, so shipping is still dominated by the Seto Inland Sea and the Pacific Ocean. When ships were sent to Hokkaido from those eastern cities, they go through the Tsugaru Strait and go around over 400 kilometers. It's quite long, and there is another route that saves time and gas. It was obvious that the latter would win the race. And compared to Otaru, which has no plains, Tomakomai near the Ishikari Plain, so it has lots of land. As a result, Otaru has lost much of its former glory, but it will gain a reputation as a romantic tourist destination. Even if logistics shifted south, the old canal and modern and classic buildings are not going anywhere. They are what you see in Otaru, the remnants of Otaru's prosperous past as a modern port city. When you arrive in Otaru, the first place might be a Otaru station, but it also has a bus terminal attached to it. So whatever you take a bus or train, Otaru Station will be your first place. And if you go straight down the street from the station, you will face the famous Otaru Canal, the most favorite attraction in whole city. Unusually, it's not digged on the land, but rather reclaim the shallow water offshore and turn into the canal. The canal opened in 1923, the era of changing. Many modern warehouses were built and they are still standing. In the 40s, the canal lost its function as a waterway and now is only used for occasional tourist cruise. Of course, its very existence attracts tourists. Anyway, the construction of canal was a good decision, right? The warehouses along the canal are now restaurants and retail stores. One of them is a German-style bar called Otaru Beer No. 1. This place has a great atmosphere. If you want to have a drink, I recommend this place in Otaru. The food and service, it doesn't care. The atmosphere is overwhelming. And then there's a part where the canal bends toward the land, which is actually a river. The long stretch of Sakai Machi Street runs south from here. If you've been disappointed by the lack of many shops in Otaru Canal, you will make up for it here. Shops everywhere. It's not a long road, about 700 meters, but there's a lot to see. First of all, Taisho Glass House at Romankan at the north end, they sell a lot of cool glass stuff. Kitaichi in the middle is also the good place to buy them. And you can find several restaurants and snacks too, but I don't recommend getting super full, because these are not the only restaurant in Otaru. And at the southern end of the street, you will find Otaru's famous sweets shops Lutao, Lokate, and Kitakaro. Here is the best place in Hokkaido to buy sweets. Finally, the music box building that marks the end of the street, the steam clock in front of it, is also a famous spot in Otaru. Many people like to take a picture with it, and also Little main store in the background. The canal is just a place to snap a quick photo, but this Sakai Machi street is where the real experience is. That's not all. There's more to see in downtown Otaru. Back at the station, you will find Triangle Market right next to the station. It's a small seafood market with a similar atmosphere to Sapporo's Nijo Market. It sells lots of seafood, including kaisendon, the seafood bowl. You will be in Otaru early in the morning, right? It's customary to start your day with a bite to eat at the market. If you're staying overnight, you can have a lunch before you leave Otaru. The station is also the center of transportation in Otaru, so there's also a modern shopping district in front of it. There's not much to see here, but there are a few restaurants where local people go. There's also a bar alley called Yataimura at night. At the southern end of that shopping district is the famous Otaru Sushi Street. Here is the hometown of Japanese manga Shota Sushi. But here looks quite empty, not like any other famous alley. And the streets are not packed with sushi restaurants, so please don't get your hopes up. The manga is based the Sushiya Masajushi. And between the canal and Sakai Machi Street, there's another shopping district called Tanuki-koji. It sells ramen, Genghis Khan, kaisendon, and the other food items. It looks so fancy, so you will never pass this place. And the hill on the south side of Sakai Machi Street, you will find Suitengu Shrine. You can get a little bit of view of the city. Unfortunately, there are trees, so the view isn't very clear. Still, the atmosphere is nice, so if you have time, you can combine here with a visit to Sakai Machi Street. But be warned, the stairs are a bit treacherous in winter. I prefer to just lie down with your hip. And the area between Otaru Station and the canal, there are a number of nice modern stone buildings here. Most of them used to be banks. Let's look at the map for a second. And in the center of it all is the Temiya line, the first railroad in Hokkaido, although it's just an empty train track now. Now we are going to broaden our scope a little bit. First up is a Tenguyama, which overlooks Otaru. It's a ski resort and an observation deck, but it's pretty much the only observation deck on a simple trip to Otaru. The view from Tenguyama itself is stunning, but there's more to it than that. Asayama, Otaru Park, Temiya Park, the other spots are just missing something. First up is Asayama Observatory, located in the mountain behind Otaru Station. The location is great and the view is pretty, but it's not easy to get to. There's no public transportation and it's quite a walk. You cannot see Otaru from Otaru Park, there are lots of trees. And the same goes to Temiya Park. It's also obscured by trees and the direction are confusing. In the end, your only option is Tenguyama. From Otaru Station, you can take a bus to the cable car platform. The combined cost of cable car and bus is about 1,300 yen. The minor disadvantage is that you will probably get a better view than this in the city of Sapporo. Most people go to Otaru for a day trip or an overnight stay, and it's a bit tricky to spend 2 or 3 hours at observatory. Next up is the famous Otaru Aquarium. Itself is just old local aquarium, however, it is famous for its winter penguin walk that utilizes its northern location. Admission fee is 1,800 yen in summer and 1,300 in winter, plus you have to pay for the bus from Otaru Station. Unlike Tengoyama, the aquarium has a few sightseeing spots attached to it. There's a small observatory on the hill where the aquarium is. And then there's an old Aoyama villa in the neighboring town. You can walk from the aquarium to here, then you can return to Otaru by bus in front of it. And finally, the Nika Whiskey Distillery in Yoichi, the suburban area. There's a free guided tour which you can book in advance. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because of the time it takes. I'd only recommend to the people who know I am a whiskey mania. First of all, the proximity of Otaru to Sapporo is a huge plus. Other nearby destinations can take up 2 or 3 hours of travel, and the cost. Rail passes, rental cars, bus tours, etc. You have to pay more than 7 or 8,000 yen, but the round trip to Otaru is only 1,280 yen, except for the aquarium in Tengoyama, where the entrance fee is a bit high. You can walk around the city by your foot. The city center is small, so you don't even need to take a bus. Even the most budget travelers will not break the bank. Otaru is a small city, but it has a lot to offer. For starters, the canal is a unique sight on their own. Sakai Machi Street, which shares the same modern theme, has a different feel. The Triangle Market is a traditional seafood market, and there's also aquarium and separate observatory. It's much smaller than Sapporo, but Otaru has a lot more to offer. Otaru is based on modern era. The buildings are basically beautiful. It's different sensibility than contemporary buildings of concrete and glass. So even though it's suburb of Sapporo, it's a completely different feeling. Maybe it's not beautiful in the daytime for some people, but in the evening and at night, Otaru is covered with orange street lights, then nobody deny that this city is super romantic and gorgeous. Otaru is famous for its seafood bowl in Triangle Market or sushi in Sushi Alley, but that's not all Otaru has to offer. There is a local specialty called Ankage Yakisoba. It's made up with crispy yakisoba noodles, chopped with seafood, vegetable, and meat broth made sticky with stretch. And then there's hanmiage, which I really like. They cook fried chicken that's like an old-fashioned fried chicken, but it's really juicy and the oil is fantastic. If you go to Otaru, I highly recommend it. And the sweets and bakeries along Sakai Machi are a bonus. Otaru, a city of 120,000 people, is inevitably small in size. The canal very famous, but it's only a little over a kilometer long, and only 350 meters of it is actually photographed by tourists. It is really short. The shopping street, Sakai Machi is actually just a street, and the aquarium is much smaller. Triangle Market is less than 100 meters long. You can walk around there less than 5 minutes. It's a shame for people who like grandeur. They might think, is this all of this town? The Penguin Walk, where penguins roam around the aquarium, this is winter-only content. And the streetlights in Otaru are orange color. This creates a synergy with the white snow on streets in winter. I could say that the romantic scenery of Otaru completes only with snow. Weather is the canal of Sakai Machi Street, but then again, Otaru is very snowy in winter, so even though it's beautiful in the winter, there are blizzards. You need a lot to have a joyful Otaru travel. Otaru has a lot of stairs and slopes, especially compared to Sapporo, which is all plains. There is a gentle slope from the railroad station to the canal, and the canal requires a slope or stairs to get down to the promenade. One of the main attractions, Suitengu Shrine, is also high up, so it can be a hardcore process. And when it's all icy, it is quite dangerous. When you go and step on the slopes, and you realize, oh, this is slippery. But overall, there really are not any major disadvantages. There are two main ways to get to and from Sapporo, train and bus. They share same departing and arriving locations, and the prices are similar too. Travel time is also similar, but I personally recommend the train because the route is closer to the sea. You want to enjoy the scenery, right? The first train from Sapporo leaves around 6:30 a.m. and the last train back from Otaru is almost 11 p.m. If you don't go to aquarium or the observatory, you will have plenty of time. But if you're going to those two places, your schedule will be pretty tight, so I'd recommend taking the first or last train as close as possible. Otaru city center is not very large, so you can easily get around by your foot. It's only 2 kilometers from the station, through the canal to the music box museum. The city has a nice atmosphere, so let's just walk. So there are really only 2 bus routes you can take, one to Tenguyama and one to Aquarium. And the bus terminal has all the information you need to get there, so you don't have to worry about getting the wrong bus. Suica and other transportation cards are accepted in Otaru City. Whether it's a bus or train, just charge your IC card and tap it. Even buses to Aquarium or Tenguyama. But this IC card doesn't work beyond Otaru. I'm talking about going to Yoichi's Nika Distillery. You have to buy a ticket at the station. So let's summarize what we learned today.
Yes, this is it. Now you learn about the city of Otaru itself. This is the same place with opening, but it's night time and it's getting romantic and it becomes super romantic. Actually, the reality is more beautiful than camera. I'm guaranteed with that. And I'm sure that you can travel Otaru alone very, very well. Thank you for watching this long video and thank you again.